Welcome to my February reading wrap-up and the reveal for March's reading challenge theme. I actually did surprisingly well this month, considering it's the shortest month of the year. I was able to complete 6 books, 3 that were non-reading challenge books and 3 reading challenge books, so cozy fantasies. Starting with The Sirens by Emilia Hart. I mainly consumed this via the audiobook, narrated by Barry Krennic. She actually also narrated Slewfoot that I listened to last year and really enjoyed. I loved that book to the point where I am considering getting a physical copy of the book eventually, and her narration was excellent, and so for this book definitely helped to drive the narrative and help me get through it nice and quickly. This is a multi-generational story which follows 2 sisters growing up in modern-day Australia, and also 2 sisters who are on a convict ship sailing from Ireland to Australia, and how their lives are connected, and obviously how sirens are involved with the story. For me, there were just a few too many predictable elements to this story, so I gave it 3.5 stars overall. It was still a very enjoyable story, but there were just some predictable parts to it. There also wasn't anything particularly graphic, but there are many references to SA, so just check your content warnings before you dive into this book. Next up, I have my joint top book of the month, and that is Girl Dinner by Olivie Blake. This is a dual POV story following Sloane, who is an adjunct professor at a university, and how she's dealing with the challenges of being a new mother and a wife, and she recently gets appointed in an advisory role on one of the sorority committees. And also Nina, who is a sophomore and who is desperately trying to get into this particular sorority. And the mysteries surrounding this sorority's success and its alumni. I really enjoyed this. I consumed this in a matter of days and overall gave this 4.5 stars. There is just something unquantifiable and undefinable about Olivie Blake's writing for me that it's just so compelling. It hooks me and I just can't stop reading. There doesn't even have to be anything particularly exciting happening, but just the way she writes her stories, the narrative that drives it is just utterly compelling, and I just eat it up, which I guess is appropriate for a book titled Girl Dinner. I felt exactly the same way with Gifted and Talented, and also Alone with You in the Ether, both by Olivie Blake. Again, I just was hooked and couldn't stop reading. And I have several other of her books on my TBR, and now definitely I cannot wait to get to them. I think this is going to be the year of Olivie Blake, and I'm just going to try and consume as many books as I can of hers. There's gorgeous pink edges as well. The third and final book of the non-reading challenge books, but it kind of is related, it does have a cozy vibe to it, is Cackle by Rachel Harrison. This follows Annie, who moves from New York to a small town after quite a major breakup and tries to reinvent her life for herself, and makes friends with a local there called Sophie, who is very mysterious and enigmatic and charismatic. And she seems to have a strange hold over the town that Annie moves into. I really liked exploring their relationship, the friendship that forms, and Annie reinventing herself and finding a new sense of self for her in this new town, and single and without her long-term boyfriend. So this does lean towards the cozy side of fantasy, so it wasn't on my original list of books to try and read for the challenge, but it very much kind of fits in anyway. There's plenty of magic and intrigue, but it's pretty low stakes as well. There was enough mystery behind Sophie's intentions that kept you guessing, kept you interested, but not so much that it detracted from the cozy vibe. And I ultimately gave this 4.25 stars. Now we are venturing fully into the realm of cozy fantasy. Starting with Brigands and Breadknives. I just love that crinkly, sticky sound that you get from the library-bound covers. Now, I have to say, unfortunately, I only gave this one a 3.25. I didn't enjoy this one as much as the previous two books. I still really like Fern as a character, but For me, I just missed Viv and the other characters in Thorne, and I wanted to see more of their dynamic. For some reason, Fern's solo adventure with new characters just didn't grip me in the same way. Still a sweet and enjoyable book. The narrative didn't drive me along quite in the same way as the others did. Still cozy, still interesting characters and sense of found family, but yeah, I was just missing some of the already established characters that we know and love. So if he does a follow-up to this, hopefully there'll be a bit more of Fern and Viv and their adventures in Thorne. The next one was, again, actually predominantly another audiobook for me. And it was Can't Spell Treason Without Tea by Rebecca Thorne. The audiobook wasn't my initial intention, but it was available and it just meant that I could consume the book a bit faster and just try and achieve as much as I could for this reading challenge. Because I do enjoy the sprayed edges and the floppiness of this paperback. Certainly for the next ones, I will try to actually physically read it. The rest of them are like this. And I just love the way a floppy paperback feels. The audiobook was narrated by Jessica Threet, and I did really enjoy her narrative style. She gave two distinct voices and personalities to the two main characters in this story, which we're following Rhaena, who is a Queen's Guard, and Cianth, who is a very powerful mage. And following their relationship and just them desperately trying to leave their lives and their responsibilities behind in order to open a tea and bookshop and just live a quiet life together. And like all cozy fantasies, there's just a wonderful sense of found family in this, and just trying to live their dreams and experience a quiet life. There is a certain element of danger to it. There are people looking for them because they've basically tried to turn their back on their responsibilities and left the queendom. But then there's introductions to griffins and dragons, and it sets things up nicely for a sequel. And currently, I think there's 4 books in the series, and I do have them all. So I gave this one 3.75 stars. And I am looking forward to continuing with the series. Lastly, and my other joint top book of this month, is The Spellshop by Sarah Beth Durst. And if you saw my previous video, you'll see that I was reading this, and I'm happy to confirm that I did finish it. and given this also a 4.5 stars. Oh, it's so pretty. Oh, it's so pretty, I can't get over it. The designs on these covers are just gorgeous. And even though it's just a single block sprayed edge, the colour just works perfectly with it. It's absolutely one of the prettiest books I own. So this follows Keela, who is a librarian in the city, but when a revolution occurs against the current monarchy, then she flees with as many books as she can save, spell books, library books, before the library gets burned down, and runs away to the island where she grew up in the hopes of hiding out and making a solitary life for herself with her sentient plant companion. But her plans of keeping a low profile and not interacting with people doesn't quite go to plan, and she discovers a wonderful sense of community and found family within this island and its inhabitants. And yeah, this was everything that I wanted in a cozy fantasy. Great characters, great found family, the sweetest romance, and lots of animals and magical creatures and sentient plants. There's enough peril and danger to keep you interested, but not so much that it completely takes away the cozy feel of it. You do kind of know that they'll get through it. Nothing really bad is going to happen, but still there's plenty of things happening in this story that keep you guessing and hope that everything turns out for the best. And having read the blurb for the second one, The Enchanted Greenhouse, I'm actually quite excited about entering into that one, because it's not following a character that I expected it to, and that's actually really quite intriguing. So I'm looking forward to picking the next one up and continuing with this series. Now we've come to the part of the video that you've been eagerly anticipating, and the reveal for the March Reading Challenge theme. So next month's theme is going to be entitled Middle-earth March, and I will be attempting to read The Hobbit and all 3 Lord of the Rings books. I remember reading The Hobbit years ago when I was younger, but I now don't really remember much about it, and I have loved the Lord of the Rings movies for so long, ever since we first saw them, and I entered into the hype when they came out and bought the books and all the merchandise, everything, but I still actually haven't read them, and I'm a little bit embarrassed about that. So now is my time, now is my excuse to read them. I also have the audiobooks available all of them narrated by Andy Serkis. So predominantly I am hoping to listen to the audiobooks, but I also have some physical and ebook copies that I can actually read with my eyes as well. 4 books in 4 weeks seems pretty achievable. If I can read anything else on top of that, then that will be a bonus. But I should hopefully at least be able to fit in all 4 of these books of J.R.R. Tolkien's epic legacy. If this is your first time as well, or maybe if you've read them before and you loved them and are ready for a reread, then please join me and read along with me in March. That's all I have to share with you today. I am very much looking forward to this next challenge. I hope you are too. And I'll see you next month. Happy reading!